HOA Karen blocked a fire truck at my home. I showed up with a 60-foot rescue ladder. Have you ever wondered what happens when petty power trips collide with life-or-death stakes? In the manicured lawns of Willow Creek, a quiet suburb where mailboxes gleam and hedges are trimmed to perfection, one woman's obsession with control nearly cost a family everything. Karen, the HOA president, stood in the middle of the road, arms crossed, blocking a fire truck from reaching a burning home. But she didn't know who she was messing with, either that her reign of terror was about to crash down in flames. It started on a sweltering July afternoon, the kind of day where the air shimmers and kids abandon their bikes for sprinklers. I'm Jake, a firefighter with 15 years on the job, and I just moved my family into Willow Creek to escape the city grind. My wife, Sarah, loved the community's charm-neat bungalows, a duck pond, friendly neighbors. But the HOA, that was Karen's kingdom. She patrolled the streets like a sheriff, clipboard in hand, citing people for unapproved flower beds or slightly askew trash cans. Most folks rolled their eyes and complied. I figured I'd steer clear and keep the peace. That peace shattered when my neighbor's house caught fire. The Millers, a sweet elderly couple, lived next door. Their kitchen sparked up from a faulty toaster, and by the time anyone noticed, flames were licking the roof. Sarah called 911 while I grabbed my gear from our garage. Old habits die hard. The fire truck was en route, sirens blaring. But when it turned into our cul-de-sac, it screeched to a halt. There was Karen, standing dead center in the road, her SUV parked diagonally to block the way. She was yelling about unauthorized vehicles and waving a copy of the HOA bylaws like a holy book. "Move your car," the driver shouted, leaning on the horn. Neighbors spilled onto their lawns, phones out, recording the chaos. Karen didn't budge. "This is a private community," she shrieked. "You need clearance from the board." My blood boiled. Smoke was pouring from the Miller's windows, and every second counted. I sprinted over, still in my turnout gear, and tried reasoning with her. "Karen, that's my neighbor's house burning. People could die. Move. Now." She sneered, her manicured nails jabbing the air. "Don't you dare lecture me, Jake. I know your type think you're above the rules because you're some hero wannabe. This truck isn't going anywhere until I say so." I stared, dumbfounded. Was she seriously playing gatekeeper while a house burned? That's when I noticed Mr. Miller at his window, coughing, trapped on the second floor. My training kicked in. I didn't have time for this. Here's where things took a turn. Unbeknownst to Karen, I wasn't just a firefighter, I was part of the county's elite rescue squad, and my crew was already mobilizing. I radioed my team, who were stuck behind the traffic jam Karen's stunt had caused. "Bring the 60-foot ladder truck," I said, "and hurry." Then I turned to the crowd. Among them was Tom, a quiet guy who'd moved in a month ago. He was a retired lawyer, and I'd seen him jotting notes at HOA meetings, always watching Karen's antics with a steely gaze. "Tom," I called, "you got a second?" He nodded, sensing the plan forming. While Karen ranted, Tom slipped away to his garage. Minutes later, my crew rolled up in the ladder truck, its massive frame dwarfing the cul-de-sac. The crowd gasped as it maneuvered around Karen's SUV, scraping her bumper just enough to make her scream. "You're damaging my property," she wailed, but no one cared. My team extended the 60-foot ladder toward the Miller's window. I climbed up, heart pounding, and pulled Mr. Miller to safety just as the roof caved in. The crowd cheered, but Karen? She was livid, dialing 911 to report us for vandalism. That's when Tom reappeared, holding a stack of papers. "Karen," he said, his voice calm but cutting, "you might want to read this." He handed her a cease and desist letter, drafted on the spot, citing her interference with emergency services, a felony in our state. The crowd went silent. Tom wasn't just a lawyer. He'd been quietly building a case against Karen's HOA tyranny for weeks, collecting complaints from neighbors too scared to speak up. Her face drained of color as he listed her violations: misusing HOA funds, harassing residents, and now, endangering lives. Karen's empire crumbled faster than the Miller's roof. The police arrived, not for us, but for her. They cuffed her for obstructing an emergency vehicle, her protests drowned out by the sirens she'd delayed. The HOA board, already fed up with her, voted her out that night. Tom stepped up as interim president, promising transparency and an end to petty rule-mongering. The Millers, thankfully, were safe, though their home was a total loss. The community rallied, raising funds to help them rebuild. As for Karen, her fall was spectacular. Her SUV was towed, her reputation shredded. Neighbors who'd cowered under her reign now shared stories of her bullying, fining a single mom for her kids' chalk drawings, threatening to evict a veteran for flying a flag. She tried to sue the HOA claiming wrongful termination, but Tom's legal chops shut that down. Last I heard, she'd sold her house at a loss and moved to another town, where I can only hope she's learned to mind her own business. Standing on my porch the next morning, watching the sunrise with Sarah, I felt a weight lift. Willow Creek wasn't perfect, but it was ours again. The Millers hugged me, tears in their eyes, and Tom gave me a nod that said more than words could. Sometimes, it takes a fire literal or notto burn away the nonsense and remind us what matters. Looking out for each other. So, what do you think? Was Karen's power trip just a bad day? Or does it show how far some people will go to control others? Should HOAs have stricter oversight to stop this kind of thing? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear where you stand.